We have Ross Hardy from the Hardy team at Remax Marketing Specialist joining us today. Ross, how you doing?
I'm doing really good, man. How about yourself?
Doing fantastic. No complaints over here. Never complain. So yeah, we just want to get right into it. Get some good information. Hopefully, bring some value to people today. So first question I kind of got for you to get the conversation started is, how did you get started in real estate, and what inspired you to get into this career field?
Yeah, so the short version of that would be I grew up in England and did marketing and finance back there. And then at 25 years old, decided to uproot my life and move to the US. And when I moved here, my dad was actually in real estate. He'd been doing real estate for a couple of years at that point. It was 2005, so the Florida market was hot, hot, hot. And I figured, man, there's worse things I could do than try my hand at real estate. I'm good with numbers and I kind of have a decent background in marketing. I think I could do this. And then almost no sooner had I really started doing it was when the market tumbled. So I kind of leaned into short sales with my experience in the financial side of that, and that's kind of really what propelled our business rather than killed it. So it kind of is the reverse of what maybe some people experienced. But I kind of just really fell into it through family, and my skill set, as it were, was kind of a good match for it. The English accent doesn't hurt when you're trying to get people to trust you with hundreds of thousands of dollars. So that worked out pretty well. And yeah, I loved it instantly. So it was a happy circumstance.
It's funny how that works. The accent, like every time I talk to an English person, I feel like I trust them too. You're actually not wrong
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, and it could be used for evil, right? I could really turn this into an evil superpower.
Yeah.
But no, it certainly does help us stand out, particularly in the type of market that we're in.
And how long has your pops been in the business?
He's been doing it for 21 years. I've been doing it for 18.
Oh, okay, so he wasn't too far ahead, and you
No,
were.
he did a little bit of real estate development back in the UK. So before he moved out to the US, he was kind of dabbling in real estate. The licensing is different over there, or it was different at that time. So he was able to kind of do some deals and stuff over there just to get his feet wet, and decided that was what he wanted to pursue when he came out here.
Wicked. Well, at least it gave you some inspiration and a foothold in it. And then, so 18 years. At what point did you move to the Hardy team model, starting the Hardy team?
So once we acquired the office that we were a part of at that time, my dad moved into the office kind of management, overseeing that side of things.
Hmm.
And I was just overrun. We built a really good business at that point, and then losing him basically cut our capacity in half. So I realized pretty quickly there was a need to bring more people in. I was very, very hesitant to do it. It took me way longer to get that situated than it should have done. But once I kind of got over the fear of doing that and could see that everybody has the same concerns, right? When they start a team, people only want to deal with me. Nobody can do it as well as me.
Hmm.
And once I realized that maybe wasn't the case, it allowed me to fast track it a little bit more. But ultimately, it was a capacity issue. So around 2000 and I would say 11, I realized like we've got to do something different here.
Yeah, that's. I think most people who start a team get into that situation of pain, and then they
Yeah,
like, I got some time back in my life, or one way or another. But it's interesting you said that people can do it better in certain things. Like I found that when starting a team that I know what my strengths are, and then when I started bringing people onto the team, I started seeing that other people have a lot of strengths where my weaknesses were, and I was kind of like had blinders to that before.
for
So
sure.
I'm not known as the most warm and fuzzy, cuddly guy out there. And some of the agents who are, I mean, most agents in real estate, I think, are have that trait. They're very likable right off the bat, and they're very relatable right off the bat. So when we were starting our team, that was something that was helped grow our business. Actually, was getting people who were, had that warm and fuzzy, a little bit different than me.
Well, and here's the thing, right? Everybody has different buying styles. So just because you resonate with a certain type of buyer doesn't mean you're going to work well with every type of buyer. So you got your
Mhm.
type A's, you got your more emotional people. So bringing in a different group of people into your team allows you to target and work with a different subset of buyers. So yeah, I mean, I totally get that. And it's humbling when you bring these people in because I think they expose more of your weaknesses than you maybe anticipated that you have. But that's, yeah, man, you've been in those circles enough. But that's
Yeah,
where the growth is.
definitely. Definitely. Okay. How about this one? Are there any specific habits or practices that you believe are crucial for long-term success in the field? Being 18 years, going from solo agent to through multiple shifting markets, and then into the team leadership role, and now where you're at.
Yeah, and I don't think this is going to be rocket science for anybody, but it took me way longer to realize it than wish it had. But that daily prospecting and daily follow up with people is something that we just kind of naturally and organically had a lot of people come back to us, repeat and referral. Um, but we all drive past those houses that we sold and then see them relisted with somebody else, and we're thinking, well, why didn't they call me back? Why didn't they? And you think, well, I haven't called them in 5 years. So as great of a business as we had and we built, it gives me heartburn and palpitations to think of the amount of business I've thrown away over the years by not being consistent in my follow up,
Mm-hmm.
just because I felt like, hey, we're so good, they're going to reach out to us when the time comes. So that really was a eye opener for me, and I'd heard it 100 times until I kind of felt the pain of it myself. I didn't really appreciate it. So certainly that is a really, really basic one that I think people hear and ignore because it's not the glamorous part of real estate. They don't want to do that on a daily basis and be consistent with it. But as far as moving the needle, for a team leader, it looks a little bit different now, right? Maybe we're doing that with recruiting or whatever it might be. But having that consistency of follow up and reaching new people is almost essential.
What do you think a daily follow-up should look like at a very minimum level for either an agent that's going into high production or agent who's just learning to produce? What do you think that should look like?
I mean, I think it looks a little different for each one, right? I mean, if you're a brand new agent, what else are you doing? If you don't have an escrow, you're unemployed. So if you were unemployed, you'd probably go out looking for a job. So newer agents should be a minimum an hour of prospecting a day, which is reaching out to new people you haven't spoken to yet, and then an hour of follow up or nurture. So 2 hours a day minimum. When you're a more experienced agent, we all know that our days get away from us. It's a little more based around our sphere, maybe. So you're probably a little bit heavier on the follow up than you are the prospecting, maybe. But even for experienced agents, it should be an hour minimum combined prospecting and follow up, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. And an hour is like I say an hour to everybody I'm talking to as well, and that's light. Like when I'm saying an hour, I'm
Yeah.
sitting here thinking like I do at least 3 to 4 like a day still, even if it's to whatever group of people I'm talking to. Like you mentioned, being a team lead, you do some recruiting as well. So whether it's recruiting, whether it's past clients or new business as well, bringing that in. So yeah, that's pretty good. What about past clients and follow up? So you mentioned that driving by the sign, seeing them being relisted with somebody else. What did you change that you think has kind of tipped the teeter totter back towards your favor there?
So for us, we never. I think everybody's the same way. Again, we don't like reaching out to people and talking real estate, right? Because it's really not interesting to most people unless they're at that point where they're looking to transact and do something. So for us, it was a way of finding a way to get back in front of people or stay in front of people with a non-real estate related message. So the two things that we kind of got good at doing were the in-person events and community events. So we do the United Way kickball tournament that we sponsor for childhood literacy. And then we're on the organization committee for the food truck rally part of that. So we put together the food truck rally. If our customers come and sign in at our booth, we give them $10 to go spend at the food trucks. So it's a great way to get face to face with our customers for what I would consider a pretty low cost for having that interaction time with them. And then customer appreciation events, free pie giveaways, pictures with Santa at Christmas and stuff. So it's a great way to get face to face. I think that is more comfortable for the majority of agents. And then the second part of that is through social media. We have two pages. One is Hernando County Food Lovers, which is the small county that we're in, where we feature local mom and pop restaurants. So my reputation locally is the food guy. And then we also have one called Discover Spring Hill, where we go out and feature local attractions, local events and stuff like that. So it's interesting for people that are looking to move here because they want to know what's going on in the community before they move here. It's also interesting for people that are already here, and it allows us to reach out to them and say, hey, John, did you see there's that new trampoline park opening at Four Corners for the kids? Like, I've been down and checked it out. Like, here's a video that we did where we previewed it. Make sure you say hi to Nicole when you get there. She's the manager and she'll take great care of you. So it's just another way to communicate with people without saying, hey, please refer me to someone who's looking to buy or sell.
Yeah, that's pretty good. We were getting into the in-person events. We had just started one. We did a Wicked event with a local art. They're like an art show host where they bring local artists and they set up the event and make it like an appetizer, sip and walk around and look at the art that's for sale and on feature and stuff. And we
Yeah.
did that the co-hosting event, so they were able to sell tickets to their network for it, and then we were able to just invite our clients for free, and
I love that.
we put on the food and found the venue, and then the artists. We had multiple artists there. We had a live singer did a bit, guitar, like single guitar plus singing. He did a bit, and then we had one guy who did like this crazy spray paint Superman painting in the middle of this big open area and the whole thing. So people are walking around, they're seeing this guy create it from scratch. And it was pretty crazy. And then it was actually pretty neat. Like our clients all loved it, which was great. But then the artists that were there, they said they had never sold more pieces at one of those art shows than the one they did with us, because the people
Get
who
out.
brought in had some empty walls that they had to fill up because they had recently
Yeah.
purchased homes. So it was pretty
Yeah.
cool. And the artists, like there were some artists who were crying because they sold out. Like it meant a lot to them. It was pretty
I love
moving
that.
event to see. But unfortunately, then COVID hit right after, and we
Mhm.
hadn't gotten back to the in-person events. We have a couple planned this year. We're going to do the pie giveaway one. I think that one's wicked in the Thanksgiving time.
Yep.
In our office, the way it's situated, it has like a large tree line into like a ravine right in front of it. So we're going to do like photographers into the autumn falling leaves trees. So taking pictures with your family in the tree line and pick up a pie and all that. So and then I might have to hit you up for some more inspiration on those ideas, because the art
Oh,
show
definitely.
unfortunately they closed down.
Definitely do, because again, you refine it as you go along, right? You plan these things and you do it, and you're like, man, I wish we'd done this, or wish we'd added that. So the one thing we added to our pie event this year was we put a QR code on the sticker on the pie, and we just said,
Mm.
hey, listen, I know you guys are busy, you're just here to pick up your pie and chat for 5 minutes, but if you scan that QR code, you can leave us a 5-star review on Google. So when you get home this afternoon, if you don't mind just taking 5 minutes, just scan that and leave us a review.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of our goals is to have 500 5-star reviews by 2025. And we got a ton of 5-star reviews from that. And I think, again, it's just a low impact way to ask people for that without being in their face about it and hovering over them. So you can combine those events, still make them a little bit real estate related, but ultimately then they're thinking real estate. They're thinking what a great experience they had with you. You've just given them a free pie, which, a $5 pie is not going to change anyone's life, but it's that feeling of reciprocity that you generate from that.
Yeah, 100%. Nobody else is calling them to give them a free pie. So
Right.
that's brilliant. I love that QR code on the pie. I'm definitely going to do that. I didn't even think of doing that, but we're definitely a group that struggles with consistently remembering to ask for the Google review. We're so focused on servicing them until it gets to the point where we're in this awkward phase now where it's like we should have asked a while ago, and now it's like going back to them. Yeah, we got to get better at that. No secret there.
So if I can add a tip on that, because again, like in 18 years of real estate, I got to a point where it's like, I've not spoken to these people in 10 years. How the heck can I get back in touch with them now and ask them for a 5-star review or ask them for this or that? So a great way that I found to do it, one of my mentors at the time had told me about it, was basically you blame yourself. So you send out an email or you pick up the phone and say, hey, John, listen, we've got a VIP customer club. And I was just going through the list and I can't believe it. I'm so sorry. I just realized you're not on it. I don't know how I missed you, but I want to make sure that you're on it. So, if you can, just give me an updated email address and I'll send you the benefits of the club. Oh, and by the way, on there is going to be a link for a 5-star review. And it's like, hey, I dropped the ball. Truth is, we didn't have a 5-star. We didn't have a VIP club, but we started it and it allowed us to go back from all of our past customers over the last 10 years and kind of say, oops, we made a bad one, guys, but we're including you now. And again, it just kind of was a low impact way of getting back with those people.
Yeah, I love that VIP club. When you send that list, you send that email, what's on it? If you don't
So
mind
basically, it's going to allow them to be invited to the food truck rally, to the pie event, to the pictures with Santa, and any of the other events that we have. that we host for free, and then we do some drawings throughout the course of the year. So when that new trampoline park opened, we gave away 3 free memberships for a year. So they were like $100 each. So for $300, we posted that we gave a couple away to the public, where it's like, hey, if you share this post, you're entered into a draw, and then we gave some away to our customers as well.
That's wicked. Yeah, no, that's a huge tip. I think the VIP club is something we're gonna have to roll out here before the end of the month. That's definitely like that scripting would definitely bridge the gap on some of those old ones we have, and I think even like agents who have left our team as well, they've either left our team, probably maybe left the business, and their clients are just in limbo. And if I've never talked to them, it's been kind of an awkward opening. So that would be a good one.
And here's the reality, John. Like people join the teams because of the systems and stuff that you're putting in place for them. So when they leave your team, the chances are they're probably not reaching out to those customers, right? Because to try and do all of those things as an individual agent is next to impossible. So like you say, they're kind of left in that limbo situation. And I know just from being in the Reside group that you're like the action taker guy. So like, for you, that's like a no brainer, like, to get on that, because that's going to move the needle for you and your team.
Well, I thought I was only going to have one more project this quarter, but now I got 2.
Yeah.
The other project, I don't know. Do you guys have anybody who's running? As I've seen, you mentioned you're the food guy. There's a couple guys that do that in real estate throughout different marketplaces. I actually was doing it for a bit as well, but I found it hard with the food because I'm a bit of a foodie. So when I was eating at the restaurants and I didn't like it, I didn't want to say how good it was, and then I also didn't want to say that it was not good.
How bad it was.
I never wanted anybody's business, and that's just maybe my taste. So it's just like I found like I wasn't being as genuine as I wanted to be on those videos.
100%.
So that was kind of the challenge for me. What do you experience that challenge on those videos?
So I do. So if it's really, really bad, I'm straight out not going to post it. Like I don't want to kill someone's business, but I'm certainly not going to send people there if it's not up to kind of my standard of expectations. I would actually post 2 different types of videos. So I would do the professionally produced ones for the restaurants that I've been to before that I know that I like. And that's like a Guy Fieri diners, drivers, and drive-ins and dives sorts of thing, where I'm going to be outside the restaurant and, hey, when I moved to this area, I was looking for great Greek food and I couldn't find it anywhere, but I'm here today at Nikki's Euromania. Let's go inside and check it out. We talk to the owner, we go back in the kitchen, we see how they make it, we sample it. Hey, it's awesome, guys. Follow their page, follow my page. So that's like a 4 or 5 minute professionally produced video. And then the other one is just take your camera, scroll the front of the restaurant, scroll the inside, scroll the menu, scroll the food, take a quick video of yourself eating it. And you just don't mention how good or bad it is. If it's mediocre, you just say, hey, Billy's Burgers just opened up on ABC Street. They're serving up, awesome fries, right? And a variety of burgers. Go check them out. Because one thing I also know is I'm not the God word on food. So just because I don't like it doesn't mean nobody else can like it. There's places that I've not liked where people are like, oh my God, that place is so awesome. You have to go try it. So everyone's different. If I can promote them, get them some more business, great. But if I have a terrible experience, I'm not posting it.
Yeah. See, we were running the same production that you, like literally the same video template you said in the beginning. That's what we were doing. I wasn't running like a short form like you mentioned in the second part, but the short form would be good for even newer agents starting out listening to this, like, and maybe don't have a large marketing budget. You can't hire the videographer for that first video that he mentioned there, but you could do that short form. And what he's doing is creating like area export authority throughout his marketplace, just by knowing that every little local thing that's in around the marketplace. And then I found as you get better with those little things, you're doing more content like that. When you go into your showings and you go into like new client meetings and all that, you're in an area that you just did a video for, you tend to deliver value about talking, oh yeah, did you see that Euro place around the corner that blah, 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 blah. So just another thing to talk about rather than just like, where do you want to be and how much do you want to spend when you first meet somebody? So yeah, no, it works in a lot of ways. I do love the template. We left it behind a little while ago. People are asking me all the time if I'm going to bring it back, and I just haven't decided yet.
John, if they're asking you to bring it back, man, you got to do it.
Yeah, part of me thinks it's my friends that just want to see me get fat on camera.
Ah,
So they just want to make sure they're always staying better looking than me, I guess. But
that's funny.
we'll see. Okay, so what strategies and approaches do you attribute to success in real estate? Outside of the ones you've already mentioned.
Yeah. So, you know, I consider myself pretty level-headed. I think that, well, let me back up. I now consider myself pretty level-headed. There were times when I was starting out doing this, probably the first 6, 7, 8 years, where you would live and die on every transaction. You're devastated when something falls apart. If the buyer or seller is frustrated, you're frustrated along with them. And it can real estate's a stressful business, man. There's no two ways around it. You're changing people's lives. You're dealing with hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you're basically the guy quarterbacking the whole thing and trying to keep 30, 40 people on task throughout the transaction. So, what I learned way too late was that living those emotions with the customer, although it might give you a bond with the customer, rarely leads to an effective conflict resolution.
Mm-hmm.
So that at the point where I could turn around to the buyer or seller or other agent and say, hey, listen, like, I want this to close. I want this to work, but I can't care about it more than you do.
Right.
Was the point where I could kind of step back out of it a little bit and run those plays a little bit more effectively for my customer. So, I don't know if that's a strategy or what it is, but it was a reflective moment where I had to change the way that I was handling stuff, which I think has probably helped me more than most things over the years. Yes, it might seem frustrating to my customers when I'm telling them, hey, listen, I can't care about it more than you do. But at the end of the day, when we're talking about $250 worth of repairs on a $500,000 house and everybody's quarreling over it, somebody at some point has to see the sense in the situation and be able to make that work. So that was one of them. And honestly, it's not a strategy, but it kind of is consistency. I think we all give up at the point right before we hit success, and being able to push through that and just say, I'm committed to doing this no matter what. So my food page, I might never have anybody like a post or comment on it again, but I'm still go out and eat food, and I'm still going to post pictures of it because I know at some point, I mean, it's already happened on that case, but I know at some point it's going to kick off, right? New agents that come into the team, they've got exactly the same opportunity. The guy that's been with me 8 years wakes up with the same opportunity as the guy that's been with me 8 days. The difference is the guy that's been with me 8 days might have to grind a little bit harder to get there. And so when you see 5, 6, 7 people join the team and one of them makes it and the other 6 don't, what can be the only reason? It has to be the way they're applying themselves to the situation. So consistency is the biggest strategy, hack, whatever you want to call it. Because, listen, I'm still not as consistent as I want to be. John's saying we need to make an hour of recruiting calls a day. If I've done that twice in the last 2 months, but, having the consistency at whatever it is you want to do is the number one strategy. If you sat down and you're talking to people, but if you're talking to quote unquote successful people in real estate, I bet they're there because they've been ruthlessly consistent at something that's made them get there.
Yeah, 100%. Consistency is something that if we ask, 10 top producers, 10 out of 10 of them are going to tell us the same thing: consistency.
100%.
And that's something that can't be replaced. Hard work, hustle, whatever synonym you want to use to tell you consistency and hard work, that's the juice right there. And like we say in our network there, is like work works. So you put in the work, that's what works, and that's what gets the job done. So yeah, consistency is massive. But to your first point, I think it's a mindset shift, and I think that consistency and being effective with your days and your follow up and your leads and eventually putting through transactions allows you the luxury of disconnecting yourself emotionally from every dollar, because you're not necessarily as attached to every commission. So if you want to get Ross's first point, you want to get to the point where it's like, I'm not, attracted to every deal. I'm attached to every deal the same way as the clients are. If I lose that deal, it's okay because there's another one coming up right behind it. I'll still be able to provide for whatever people in my life have to provide for. And then you won't be as emotionally charged when something doesn't go through. Like for example, like last night, I unfortunately lost a multiple offer on 14 offers on a place. I don't know where the price went to, but I lost it and I still slept quite fine. I woke up not sour about it at all. But if I wasn't consistent in my business and I didn't know that there's another ticket coming up down the line or anything like that, then I probably would have been pretty upset on that loss.
Well, and you've made it through the hard part of real estate, like the first 2, 3, 4 years, where you're experienced enough to know that it's not just someone telling you that's going to happen. You've lived it, so you know the next opportunity is just around the corner. You know, for this buyer that you're representing, this is just not their home. And as crazy as it sounds in real estate, the right thing comes along at the right time. So no matter how much they were in love with that property, one of two things is going to happen. If that's their house, then that escrow will fall out and they'll get their opportunity again. Or it's just not their house, and then the right one will present itself at the right moment. And it's hard, like you said, that abundance mindset is something that a lot of people, I think, say they have, or they want to believe they have. But that's the perfect example of it right there, John. Is you can go to sleep at night, put your head down, know you've done the right thing by your customer, and know that the right thing's going to happen eventually.
Yep. And a lot of situations too, like I see newer agents or earlier in their careers are getting these emotionally attached scenarios like you're explaining that you're saying to detach yourself from, but a lot of them are so attached because they're not putting in that work to get the next one there.
Yep.
And they're blaming themselves on like, oh, I didn't do enough for that deal and I could have done more. I could have got this. My clients did this. My clients did that. But a lot of the times it's not always on us. Like,
right.
For example, last night, the house was listed for $345. I convinced my client only wanted to go up to $355. In 14 offer multiple, 10 grand is not going to do it. I was able to get him to go up to $361. That's as far as he wanted to go on it. And I'm sure when I check the sold data later, it's going to be closer to 400. So it's like I pushed as hard as I could and pleaded with them as hard as I could that it's not going to go anywhere near 361. So am I going to lose sleep over the decision he made? No,
right.
At all. And I know that buyer, the next time we come into that multiple offer scenario, is going to be like, Kate, instead of me and you bartering back and forth what I think is right, you just tell me and just go get me the house, go get it done.
Yeah.
Right. So that FOMO that they're going to have, that fear of missing out on the next house, is going to help me get the deal done. And we didn't get this one done, but no fault of mine. I knew where the price had to be. They just didn't agree. So why would I hold all that negative energy towards it?
Yeah, I hate to say that, but like that's often the best way that people can learn is by experience. It's like the hot stove issue, right? Your parents say, "Don't touch that stove. It's hot. It's hot. It's hot," and you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna touch it." So you do it and you burn yourself, but you know you're not to do it again. And it's like that with real estate. You're the expert, right? Clearly, like you know what you're talking about. You've been in multiple offer situations. You study the market. You study the numbers. You know where it needs to be. You can give them all that information. Ultimately, what they decide to do with that information is down to them. And if they're not trusting your opinion as the expert, like you said, you can't live and die by that. But now they've lost a house that they love. They're darn sure going to listen to you the next time around.
100%. 100%. Funny thing is, I actually did touch the hot stove in real life as a kid. Not by like,
I believe it.
I actually put my whole hand on it, but it was by mistake. I kind of like slapped the counter, joking around, and that thing was hot. I burnt my whole hand. It was like in a ball. He mentioned it. I remember. That's bringing back some painful memories.
Trauma, yeah.
I see. One question I've been wanting to ask you the whole time is I see a lot of books behind you, so that kind of tells me that you're taking in that type of content. So, is there any books, programs, courses, anything that you can recommend that's giving you significant value that you would promote to people listening now?
Yeah. So one thing I learned from one of my very first real estate coaches about reading was, he's like, I could give you 50 books to read. He's like, but you're going to read it and you're going to move on to the next one without implementing anything from the first one. He's like, I read the same 5 books over and over and over and over and over until I'm like a disciple of those books. And it happened that the first book that he put me on to read was What to Say When You're Talking to Yourself, I think it's called, by Shad Helmstetter. It's like an inner monologue thing where it's a mindset thing. So an example would be if you're smoking. you can say to yourself, I want to quit smoking. Okay, that's great. But ultimately, there's 5 steps to it. And what you should be saying to yourself is, I am not a smoker. Smoking does not control me. I don't need this, even if you're smoking when you're saying it, because the brain reprograms itself over a course of time to convince itself that it's not, you're not a smoker, even if you're saying it when you're smoking. So that was one book, What to Say When You Talk to Yourself, that from a mindset standpoint was kind of invaluable to me. And then, as I look at more business related books, Profit First was a great one. And there's a real estate specific version of that. Especially when you're building a team, I think we get into a situation where it's almost, we feel guilty if we're making a profit. And, it's like, I'm going to pay myself last if there's anything left at the end of the day. It's not a great way to run a business when you have a bunch of people depending on you for paychecks and stuff like that, because ultimately you're going to fold if you don't do it the right way. So Profit First was another great one. And then, Never Split the Difference was a huge one.
That's my favorite one. It's up above your left.
That. We did the masterclass as well, the online masterclass that he does, and just anything that he's on the podcast. Like I just love Chris Voss. Like his whole demeanor is just like boss mode. So that was a great book.
Yeah, I love Never Split the Difference. I've audiobooked it a couple times. I've read it a couple times. I can see its face value on your shelf, not even in the stack there. So
yeah,
that one's massive for me. I also really liked The Subtle Art of Not Giving a What.
Yep.
That one's huge because like I already have that attitude. I really don't care about these little things, but it reminded me to, how to properly hone that attitude versus developing that type of approach. So that one was a good book, reading it, taken down a couple times.
I like that one.
Yeah. And then there was one that I read that was like Getting to Yes. I don't remember the author.
I've not read that one.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It's pretty, and then he has an opposite book about not being scared of no. I didn't read that one as many times, but Getting to Yes was quite good. So I recommend that one for people who are starting out in real estate. Like all 3 of those in their early grind in real estate. Never Split the Difference is one that you're probably going to have to take in like 5 or 6 times at least.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I feel like I read it every single time I learn something else. I'm like, how did I miss this? Every single time. It's literally a masterpiece, I think, in my opinion, for negotiations.
I 100% agree. And here's the thing, right? Because it's not just in business, you use it in your personal life as well. Like, you try and find out what the kids want to do for vacation or where the wife wants to go for dinner. And like, you just keep compounding the questions and stuff. It's like, it works on so many levels, but yeah, that's an absolute must read.
Yeah. Mirroring is amazing for personal life.
Oh yeah.
If you can just master mirroring, you got everything you need right there in the toolkit.
100%.
Well, I think that's all the time we have today, Ross. But thank you so much for coming on and for giving the value. There's so many tidbits in there that you dropped that if someone who's listening to this and wants to implement it, they can make major moves forward in their business.
Yeah, this is super fun, man. I really appreciate you having me on.
All right. Appreciate you. Have a good day. Thank you, everybody listening.
You too, man.